Hi everyone, thank you so much for taking the time to join this webinar. So my name is Rufaroko. I'm your host for this webinar. I'm the head of digital marketing and customer success here at Infolytics. In this webinar, we're going to go through Zoho Campaigns best practices and strategies. We're essentially just going to dive into the world of effective email marketing. We're going to look at audience segmentation. We're going to look at different personalization techniques that you can use within Zoho Campaigns. And this will help you to build and maintain sustainable relationships with your clients. And of course, we're going to share some best practice and some of the tips that we also recommend to our clients. As I've mentioned before, Zoho Campaigns is essentially an email marketing platform, and you use it to be able to communicate effectively with your clients and also to just build on customer engagement. It helps you with your retention, building loyalty, and just making sure that you keep and maintain healthy, strong relationships with your clients. All right. So Zoho Campaigns, sometimes we get people asking us, what is the difference between Zoho Campaigns and Zoho Marketing Automation? So Zoho Campaigns, as I've mentioned before, is strictly for just email marketing. Of course, it does have some SMS-based marketing if you want to take a look at that, but essentially it's for email marketing. Then Zoho Marketing Automation just gives you a really good rundown in terms of a 360 approach to be able to build on customer engagement. So it just comes with social marketing, SMS marketing. You've got, of course, your email marketing and other additional features that then make it a more omni-channel based approach to be able to build on your customer engagement. All right, so right here is the landing page or the dashboard that you will find as soon as you log on to Zoho Campaigns. On the left-hand side here, you have what are called modules, and these are represented in the form of tabs. A module, you can look at it as a specific folder or just a specific database that helps you to maintain specific information or data, right? That is what a module is. And if you are looking at Zoho Campaigns for the first time, you shouldn't really stress yourself too much if anything is overwhelming, because this is just really a very easy application to use. All these tabs that you have here are essentially what you're going to be using every single day. You've got the campaigns module. This one holds your email campaigns. You're able to access your email campaigns. You've got your email SMS campaigns. You've got the contacts module where you're able to manage all your mailing lists, your topics, where you manage your integrations, building segments, creating your sign up or lead generation forms. And also, of course, if you want to do contact scoring, which is very important in terms of being able to determine your most engaged clients from the clients that are very much disengaged. You also have the automation model. This one is what you use for your workflows, right? And then you've got your e-commerce module, which you use if you have an online store and you've integrated it into your Zoho Campaigns. You've got the library module. This one maintains just your repository of all the images, attachments, workflows, emails, just basically your digital assets that you know that you need to continuously repurpose in your email activities, right? And then you've got the reports module, and this one then helps you with your reports and analytics to give you an overview in terms of how you're performing, where your gaps are, what you need to do in order to make sure that you build and thrive as a business. All right. Okay, so what we're going to do first, we're going to go back to the dashboard here. And you'll find that right here, this is where essentially you get to see just a high level view of how you've been performing as a business, right? Okay, so here, if I drop down, you'll see all the different campaigns that we've run in this portal, right? And here you can tell that we've sent out 4 campaigns, and we've got 1 in testing and 1 in draft mode. And you can see that just today, this is the 3rd of May, we sent out an email campaign in the morning, and no one has opened this campaign as yet. And by the way, we're working in a demo account. This is not a real account. All right. And then if we look at previous campaigns, let's look at Lorato, the previous campaign. You can see that this one, again, was sent, and half of the individuals received it, opened it. So it's 66 people received the message. And then at the same time, 0 clicked any of the links that were in the email, and then the other half did not open. So essentially, it gives you a really good rundown just in terms of high-level outlook or overview of how your email campaigns are performing. Right here, you can see your marketing contacts, okay? And then you've got your non-marketing contact. I'll explain what that is about as we proceed. And then here you're able to see in terms of what plan you're on. So this is a Zoho One Enterprise Demo Account plan that we're using, and then the account expires on the 3rd of October 2026. Okay. All right. So to get started with any email campaign, you need to have contacts. How you choose to build up your contact list is very important, because it can either build your business or it can either destroy it, right? To build an effective email contact list, you need to make sure that you are getting the most recent email addresses from your potential audience. And you're also making sure that you maintain it as a quality database. So quality database has active domains, recent contacts that you've continuously re-engaged, so you know that these emails are valid, right? And at the same time, you're trying to avoid any group accounts such as sales ads, admin ads, HR ads, support ads, those type of emails, because what happens when you're trying to send emails to those type of group accounts, anyone who would have received that email, that organization can as easily mark your emails as spam, and that is the last thing that you'd want for your campaign to experience, right? Okay. And then, so in the contacts module, I'm just going to go here and click on all contacts. From here, you're essentially able to see the number of contacts that we've already accumulated here. So on the left-hand corner here, I'm just going to go and look at all contacts, right? And if you scroll down, you'll see that we've got a total of 11 contacts. Okay. Some of these contacts are sample data, they do not exist. So it's just sample data that we've put in there. All right. And then here, you're able to then filter your contact list based on marketing contacts. So marketing contacts are essentially any contact that you've added into your database, your Zoho Campaigns account, and you essentially want them to receive all your marketing information. And then you've got your unsubscribed contact, anyone that has opted out of receiving your email campaigns. Bounced contact, anyone that has where you've sent an email to and that email has bounced. It has bounced either because the domain no longer exists or the email address just simply does not exist anymore, right? And then the email bounces. So what Zoho Campaigns essentially tries to do is to make sure that it stops trying to send emails to those bounced contacts, because they then affect your domain authority. Okay. And then you've got your blocked contact. These are contacts that you have blocked as a business. And then of course, these ones are self-explanatory. And then another important contact type to just take note of, or subscription type, is a non-marketing contact. So your non-marketing contacts usually are people that you know that they're in your database because they'll automatically be synced, or they're just going to be uploaded as a dump into your database. But they could be shareholders, it could be employees, it could be suppliers, and you don't necessarily want to send them email marketing contacts, so you mark them as non-marketing. So each and every time that you then send out a marketing email, right here, these non-marketing contacts will not receive it. So what are the different ways that you can now add data into your Zoho Campaigns? So if I go here and I click Add New, there's an option for me to add in bulk, to import, or to sync. Just to explain the difference between the three. So a bulk import allows you to be able to manually add your contacts. So you enter their email, first name, last name, and any of the other optional fields that you have. And these fields are what you would use for your segmentation and to create your mailing list. And then as you're adding your contacts, you have an option to be able to assign them to a mailing list. All right, so let me just try and add this one. This, by the way, is not a real account. If it exists, I will be shocked. All right, so we're just going to call it Drew, and then we're just going to put it like that. Okay. And then from here, you then assign it to a mailing list. So a mailing list helps you to be able to categorize your data. So you can have a mailing list specifically for your leads, a mailing list specifically for your contacts, a mailing list for newsletters, promotions, or any other way that you want to be able to sort of categorize your data. Okay. And then at the moment, I'm just going to put them in my sample list, and you can assign a mailing list. You can assign more than one mailing list to contacts, as you can see right here. And then you've got a marketing type. So we've already gone through some of this, actually gone through all three of them. So the marketing contacts, as I explained before, these are contacts that will receive all your email marketing campaigns, your newsletters, your promotions, your product updates, anything that you've put and set out as an email campaign. Unsubscribed contacts, people that have opted out of receiving your contacts, receiving your emails. The reason why this is important is that you may be interacting with your clients offline. Perhaps you're having phone calls, and then they essentially tell you that, hey, I know I've given you my email address, but I do not want you to send me any marketing material. So you make sure that you go in and you add their contact details there, then you mark them as unsubscribed. That way, no matter what, they will not receive your email marketing campaigns, and you're essentially just respecting the wishes, their wishes. All right, and then you've got your non-marketing contacts, and these, as I explained before, could be employees, shareholders, suppliers, people who you don't necessarily want to send your marketing content to. So ideally, the default is marketing, so we're going to leave it as marketing. All right, and then you've got your topics. So your topic represents or reflects your audience preferences. So if your audience prefers information on promotions, events, marketing material, that is essentially what you'll present there. And whenever they sign up to a newsletter, they'll have an option to say, hey, do you want to sign up for all of this type of content or just specific type of content? As well as when they decide to unsubscribe. If they decide to unsubscribe, they'll have an option to opt out of receiving content about any of these specific topics, as opposed to completely unsubscribing to everything that you're sending out. And once again, you need consent, and you need to confirm that you have received consent from these contacts to be able to send them some email marketing content, right? And the nice thing about Zoho Campaigns is that in general, it is actually POPI compliant, it's also GDPR compliant. So you do not necessarily have to worry a lot in terms of what are the features that have been put in place. As it is, as you can see, consent is number one when it comes to POPI compliance, and right here you have to confirm that. Then you click add. The moment you click add, it will then give you an update as to how many contacts you tried to add, how many contacts were added, how many of these contacts were new, how many of these contacts were re-added, how many of these contacts were duplicated, how many of the contacts were ignored. So as I mentioned before, this is a fake email account, right? So if you click, it'll tell you why this contact was ignored, because it's an invalid email. If I click on that, it also then gives me the list of emails that have been ignored. And that applies to all the different options that you have here, okay? If I go back, you can also then see any contacts that have unsubscribed from the list, okay? Another quick access tool that's pretty easy to use is right here at the top here, where you're also able to quickly create workflows, contacts, and also do different interesting things right there, okay? Another way to be able to add your contacts, let's just go back to all contacts there. If I decide to add new, you've got import. So you can import your data either as a file, right, or from your cloud. So if I click select file here, I have an option to upload it as a CSV or an Excel-based file, or I can import it from my Google Drive and all these other different cloud-based drive services. So I'm just going to click Zoho Work Drive. Then we're going to try and import a file from Zoho Work Drive. So Zoho Work Drive is essentially your equivalent to your G Drive, your Google Drive. So if I select this file right here, I'm going to import it. And then here, I'm going to choose the subscription type, marketing by default. The topic, you assign your topics. Always remember that if you do not assign a topic to your contact, they will not be able to receive any email marketing campaigns. So you need to make sure that your contact has been subscribed to the right topic. And then once again, you share that you've been given consent. Your mailing list is optional, but for me, I always think it's always a great idea to make sure that you just also then assign your mailing list. If not, you can just upload your data and then use segmentation or any other technique that you want to use to assign people to a mailing list, or you can create one from scratch. Okay, and then we're going to click save, and then we need to map fields. So this is very important because now we're looking at the different fields that we have within our sheet. Maybe, for example, what I need to do first that would really help is to show you what the sheet looks like. All right, so this is the file that we're uploading from Zoho Work Drive. Okay, it's got first name, surname, mobile number, email, and country of the mailing list that you want to bulk import, right? And then here, now I need to map all these columns to the right fields in Zoho Campaigns. All right, so the first column says first name, surname, we use last name, mobile number, we use mobile number, email, country. If there are any fields that you do not want to import, then do not map them here. All right, and then you click save, and then you click import. So now it's going to show you what it was able to successfully import into your campaign. All right, so quickly here, you can see that you've got your total count. We had 3 contacts, 1, 2, 3. 3 of them were added, none of them were duplicated, and now none of them were ignored. All right, and it also tells you the different subscription types. So this is very easy to do, very simple process. And the same applies even if you have custom fields that you then want to import, that is a field that is not in Campaigns by default. You need to create it in Zoho Campaigns so that your data can be fed into the right place. Okay. And then another way of being able to add data is through sync services. All right. So I'm just going to go back here and click sync, active sync right here. Right now within Zoho Campaigns, it allows you to be able to create syncs for specific modules. So you've got the leads module, the contacts module. This is specifically for Zoho CRM. If I click set up, because there's an integration that's already been set up for Zoho Campaigns and Zoho CRM. All right, if I click setup right here, I have an option to edit the sync, and then it will then push the related information from Zoho Campaigns to Zoho CRM, for example. Okay, right now I'm just going to go back here. If I click the leads, you're able to see which different types of fields that we've already used to map into Zoho Campaigns. You can also see the sync history, and you can also pause the sync if you want, right? If I go back to the contacts module, what's pretty interesting here is that you've got an option now to be able to edit the sync, right? You can also edit the one that you've just left, the one that you've just seen, the one for the leads module, all right? And then from here, you can map fields directly from the contacts module, directly from your accounts module, which is your company's module, and then directly from your deals module. So your deals are all the potential sales that you have associated with the different companies in your database. And this is the different type of information that you can now import and push into Zoho Campaigns. Then you can initiate, and it's as simple as that. All right, so another thing that's very important within Zoho Campaigns, you've already spoken about mailing lists, but the reason why mailing lists are important is that they help you to be able to categorize your data. Okay, and then once you've put people, contacts into your list, you can then further segment them. Okay, or you can use segmentation to build up a mailing list. All right, so to create a list, pretty straightforward. You just come here, click product updates as my mailing list, and then you can either import contacts, add contacts manually. You can import them from other databases that you've integrated with Campaigns, or you can use a sign-up form. All right, so if you want to use a sign-up form, this is a form that you then embed on your website as a lead generation form, and it will automatically push the data into Zoho Campaigns when someone fills it out. All right, maybe just to quickly show you what a sign-up form looks like. If I click create here, you can name your sign-up form. You can associate it to a mailing list. By default, it's associated to product updates because we've created directly from that specific list. You've got different optional templates that you can use. All right, so you've got compact forms. Compact forms are very minimal in nature. They only have about 1 or 2 fields. From here, you can add the username or the name of the contact. You can add the email address right here on your layout. So essentially, this is what someone will see when they want to sign up for a newsletter. You've got banner forms. These also are very limited in terms of the number of fields that you can put on them, but they're just a small little banner or little rectangle ribbon that you see predominantly at the bottom of the screen or as a pop-up. And then you've got long forms. These ones now actually allow you to collect a whole lot of information from your potential leads or your customers, your contacts. And you can collect email addresses, first name, last name, company name, the phone number as well. You've got your different type of pop-up forms. So you've got your standard pop-up that pops up whenever you land on a landing page or a website, and it prompts you to enter your email and your name so that you can receive a newsletter. And then you've got your blanket pop-up. Now, this one specifically covers the entire. So the goal predominantly is to make sure that you do not ignore it. It's right in your face. And you find that the little closing icon for you to be able to close that window is usually right at the right-hand corner there, but it's so tiny you hardly see it. So it forces you to be able to enter your information there. And then here you've got an option for your saved template. So if I type to create a compact form, I'll just select any one of these. On the left-hand side here, I've got different options that I can use to customize this sign-up form. When it comes to sign-up form, you want to make it as engaging as possible. You want to make sure that when someone sees it, they do not immediately get irritated and close it. So just make sure that your header here, and if you're going to use any images, which are always eye-catching and engaging, you make sure that it is easy to understand what's going on. When capturing the information, it's got a nice flow to it, and people are actually able to fill out your form without experiencing form fatigue. Okay. And then from here, if I click save, you find that this template has been associated with that mailing list and the sign-up form right here. And then if you want to see what it looks like, I'm just going to launch it. And this is the URL that you can either share with your clients. You can also use the embed code to embed it on your specific website. So this is what it looks like right here. So if someone fills it out, let me just call this test123@gmail.com. If I click sign up, you will have this automatic information or just a general pop-up that will show up at the end. So this is essentially your thank you page. You do have an option to customize this, but very limited options right here. But based off experience, these usually suffice. Okay. And then you can tell that here we've set up double opt-in. So it'll tell you that we have sent a confirmation link to your email address. You sent a confirmation link to your email address, and you need to go into your email to click on the link that is in there for you to be able to confirm that you want to receive. This is always a good way. So if you're dealing with bots that are filling out your form, for example, then at least when you got double opt-in, you know that the data that's coming through is accurate. And someone who has to go and click a link in your email from their email account genuinely wants to receive content from you. That's always good practice, in my opinion. All right, so let me just go back here. Okay, let's go back to lists. So we've created our product list. Okay, and remember that is a fake email account that does not exist. So I'm just going to refresh this window, and that contact is not added because it's not a real account. Okay. All right, and then we've got topics. So topics are essentially, like what we've mentioned before, they reflect what your audience prefers. So in terms of what your audience preferences are, this is what you would use. So you've got, right now I've got 5 topics in our organization. You can also group topics under a product. Let's say, for example, you've got 3 products, 3 subsidiaries, 3 businesses, 3s of something. All right, so you can create specific drop-down options that are specific for this one. So if I click preview, you get to see what the options look like for these topics when someone wants to sign up or unsubscribe to your newsletter. So right now you'll tell you select which newsletters you'd like to receive. You do have an option to customize this. Again, the customization is very limited, and someone will then tick, okay? And you can also put better descriptions here. Like, for example, you're interested in receiving our marketing content. you're interested in our exciting upcoming events, this is for you to easily update any of your profile information with us, for example. And then someone will save their preference, and then that will then apply. Whenever they receive campaigns, you already know what exactly they've subscribed to. All right. And this just works with topics. So you can also use topics as another way of segmenting. So sync services, we've already looked at it. This is what we were talking about when we were integrating. So other applications that you can sync with that are within the Zoho ecosystem and also outside, you can integrate Zoho Campaigns to Begin, Zoho Begin by CRM. And then you also have Zoho Recruit, Zoho Analytics, Creator, Zendesk, Zoho Backstage, HubSpot, Zoho Desk, Microsoft 365, Zoho Books, Google Contacts, all these other additional and exciting applications. Salesforce, Zoho Meeting that you can integrate with your email campaign. All right. And then for your segments are pretty straightforward. So you can segment all your data by geography, by industry, job title, by gender, whatever you want to use as your basis. As long as you've got a field that's capturing that specific information, you can use that field as a basis to create a segment. So I'm just going to click create here, and then I'm going to click segment. Then we're going to call this segment test. All right, and then we're going to use, for example, a predefined field. So we want to say, for example, country is South Africa as part of our criteria plus, and then we're going to put mobile number is not empty. So essentially what we are saying here is that we're going to build up a segment of people who are based in South Africa and they have a mobile number. And then I'm going to click save. All right, if I click contacts, it'll tell me that for all the 11 contacts that we have in our database, we did add an additional 3. So all the 14 contacts that we have in our database, only 2 of them are based in South Africa and they have a mobile number. All right. And that is essentially what you can do. Another way of being able to easily create a segment, let's go back to contact, segments, create. We've got bulk segments. You can use predefined fields. Okay, so now you've got automatically is telling you in your database, you've got 3 possible segments. You can add additional criteria if you want, like for example, gender and all of that. So if I click save here and I go into segments, it'll tell me based off the data that's existing in my database that these are the potential segments that you can have. You've got contacts whose country is South Africa, United States, and Namibia. So if I click United States here, you can see that these are the contacts whose country is United States. And the same applies to all the other different countries that you have here. And this applies if you want to do segments by industry, segments by gender, and all of that. Okay. Going back into the contacts module, we've spoken about sign-up forms. Contact scoring is an important part of your email marketing campaign. The reason why this is important is because it helps you to be able to assess your engagement levels for your contacts. So right now you've got this scale from 0 to 100. And it will tell you that any contacts that have a score that is less than 20, they're simply getting started. Any contact that has a score that's between 21 and 99, they're progressing. And then anyone that has a score that's more than 100, they are highly engaged. And you can assign scores based on these specific activities. How often they open your emails, click links, share, forward your emails. If they, for example, unsubscribe, then of course that becomes a negative. You can also then customize this and then just decide. All right, so this usually just applies to all your email campaigns. And you can also have email specific campaign scoring if you want. All right, so right here, I'm going to go back into campaigns. Now we're going to look at creating email campaigns. What is the right thing to do? So at this point in time, we've had 4 test email campaigns that we've sent out. Here on the left-hand side, you can also then see your categories for email campaigns that you've sent, campaigns that are dormant, campaigns that you have deleted. All right, to create a campaign, pretty straightforward. You click Create Campaign here, and you've got different types of campaigns that you can create. You've got a regular email, which is sent to your specific target audience. Okay, so that's target-based email marketing. Then you've got your A/B testing. So A/B testing helps you to send two different versions of your email campaign to see which one performs the best. All right, and then you've got one for your RSS feeds. If you want to be running a meeting, webinars, surveys, events, if you want to send out and integrate it to your store, your e-commerce store, particularly Zoho Commerce, you can do that as well here. All right. And what we're going to take a look at is, I'll take a look at the regular email first campaign, then we'll take a look at the A/B testing campaign to see what the difference is. So for your regular campaign, I'm just going to call it Test Demo May. We're going to assign to a topic. Remember, we said that you cannot send an email campaign if it's not associated with a topic. We're going to put marketing there, save and proceed. You're going to add your subjects, and from here you can personalize. So for example, you can use what are called merge tags. You already have predefined tags here, such as the contact first name. So right here now it will say, hi there, referral. And of course, if you want to put the name first, you can do that as well. It'll say referral, hi there, or are you there? Are you still available? Whatever your subject is. So the nice thing about Zoho Campaigns is that on the right-hand side here, it gives you best practice for your email campaigns. So it tells you avoid using more than 3 punctuation marks. Okay. Try to use not more than 9 words, right, for your subject line. It tells you that, yeah, of course, emojis are fun, but if you overdo it on the emojis, it becomes annoying and people think it becomes spammy. It does look spammy. Then it also tells you avoid using more than 150 characters specifically for your subject line. Okay, right there. And then here, it'll then tell you, you've got an option to add a pre-header. So a pre-header just sort of entices someone to be able to open your campaign. All right. So it can be, for example, are you still available? We have exciting news for you, for example. It's essentially just a one-liner, and then you click save. And then here, you send the details. You need a verified domain in order for you to make sure that your email deliverability is super good. So your sender name is just essentially a recognizable name that when someone sees on their email, they're like, oh, I know this brand. So you can either put your brand name, you can either put the name of an individual who regularly interacts with the contact list that you're using. All right, so here I'm just going to add Demo 10 as my organization name. So here it specifically says it could be your company or your brand name. Then you send the email. You've got an option to add different sender email addresses. It could be consultants, sales, specific team, individual emails. You can add those as sender addresses, and you need to authenticate your domain. All right. Then you can also initiate what is called reply tracking. So reply tracking essentially just helps you to be able to do efficient tracking of each and every time when someone replies to your email campaign that you've sent out. They click the reply button. It's then able to track to say how many people have replied, which of the contacts replied, and so on. So you can track replies, as well as for automatic forwards. You're also able to do that. If I click save, it's saving right now. The next step is adding recipients. These come from either your lists or your segments. So right here, I can go into segments, and then I can use this one here as a segment. And you can also add more than one segment. The same applies to your lists, okay? And then if you have got contacts that are in your database that you probably think are not associated to a topic, but this might be a good topic for them to be associated with, you can just tick it right here. And then here, if you click total recipients count, it will tell you how many people actually will receive this. It will also give you an explanation. It tells you the number of contacts in the selected list is 6. However, we have ignored one due to its non-marketing type. So always make sure that the subscription type for your contacts is the right one. Okay, and then your contents, you're choosing your email template. You can either use your saved templates from your library here. You can use pre-designed templates. You can also upload templates using HTML. You can import them from here. You can use recently used campaigns, basic templates. You just decide. So I'm going to use pre-designed templates, and you find that we've got different categories there, an array of interesting templates that you can use for different categories. Okay, we're just going to pick any one of them. All right, so what's interesting really about using Zoho Campaigns, in my opinion, is simply because of how easy it is to just drag and drop elements that you want to use to customize your email campaign, your actual content, right? So let's say, for example, here, I want to add automatically, it's added there. You can drag and drop where you want to place it. Very simple and straightforward. You can change all these elements and customize them to add different colors that you want. So what's very important, for example, in terms of best practice for your email campaigns, is that you need to use a font that predominantly is easy for people to read. Okay. And also at the same time, it's also easy when someone then views your email on their phone or on their desktop, on their browser, it renders properly. Okay. So Zoho Campaigns already comes with some very good font types. Okay. And you can use any one of these. And let's say, for example, if I use Lato is my favorite. But when I use it, it always tells me this, that yes, you've selected this font type, but always remember that it's a non-standard font. So this means that it may not render properly in all email clients, depending on the device they're using, the browser that they're using. And it will always may create problems for you. So sometimes, even though you've got a specific font that you like, you always need to be cognizant of that. So when you're actually going through your reports, you're also then able to see the most used devices and browsers that your audience is using them on. So when you're also running your tests and previewing your campaigns, you can also use that as a basis to see how those will render on different devices and specific browsers that you know your audience is already using. Okay. And then something else that's important here when you're actually creating your email campaign is that you also need to be very wary of using links in emails. Most of the time, if you use a lot of links, your email could get flagged. Yes, Zoho Campaigns does do a thorough analysis of your email content and everything else to make sure that it is generally compliant with most spam blockers, if that makes sense. And once you've managed to do that, always make sure that if you decide to embed a link, that your link is not broken or it's not shortened. It must be a direct link. So always make sure that you do that as well. All right, and then when embedding a video, you only have an option to embed from YouTube, Vimeo, Wistia, and then the play button. The options aren't really that great, but essentially this is what your different layouts look like. So you can embed a video there. Okay, and right at the bottom, you can also have this just comes by default for people to have an option to unsubscribe to your content. Once again, POPI compliant, GDPR compliant. This is important, okay? And then you also have an option to attach documents if you want. And essentially, this is what your email campaign content would look like. So you've got an option to preview and test. This is always important. I always recommend to our clients that they mustn't send out an email campaign without testing it first. You can see what it looks like on desktop, see what it looks like on mobile, okay? Then the HTML version is this one. You can see the text version, okay? And then you've got an option in terms of where you want. So if you send a test email account, I'm sending this test email to myself, and you can send as many test emails as required for you to make sure that you get it right. So I'm just going to go into my email, and this is what the email would look like in my domain. Okay, so always remember I haven't authenticated my domain. Okay, and this is how the images would show on this one here. All right, let's go back. So you click proceed. Another thing that I forgot to mention that I think would really be helpful is if you click edit in the edit zone right here. If you want to save this template as a basis in your library, You just go on the three dots here and click Save to Library, and you name your templates. So now when you go into your library, which is right here, you'll be able to access that. So anyone else in your team, let's say, for example, you've created your corporate theme, your brand identity, and you want to make sure that all your emails have some sort of consistency. Then once you've created the ideal layout with all the color themes and everything else, then people can use that. Okay. And once someone uses a template from your library, it does not change the original. Essentially, it's just cloning and allowing them to be able to build off. Right, let me click proceed. And you have an option to send immediately or send later. Okay. And then it will tell you that right now we've got an email policy that's active on this demo account, and I'll explain what that is later on. Okay, you can see what that is. You've got advanced options here. Well, by default, Zoho Campaigns tracks replies because I've activated here. But at the same time, you've got an option in terms of how you want to be able to track your opens and your links. By default, it tracks these. You can also track URLs using your Google Analytics. Then if you want to create the campaign in CRM, this is always by default for easy tracking. You can also have campaign-based scoring or just default scoring that's within the account itself. Okay, and then you can also set up follow-up actions. For example, if someone opens an email, sends this email to them, you'll be essentially putting them in a mini workflow. And then if someone clicks this campaign, do this. It is create a task in CRM and so on. You've got follow-up actions. All right. So this is saved as a draft. If you're creating an email campaign that is for A/B testing, A/B testing allows you to be able to send two different versions. Best practice always is to make sure that you've got an even division of the sample list that you're going to use. So essentially, A/B testing allows you to send the same two different versions to the same contact list. If you've got 100 people that you want to send your email to, in this case, 2.5% by default will receive the one part of the email, then another 2.5 will receive a different version of the email. And then you've got an option to decide which one, and you can also allow the system to say, okay, based off how people are interacting and engaging with this email, either by open rate, click rate, and so on, then the one that has the best results is the one that is then sent to the rest of the people in your contact list, in your mailing list, right? And then you can also adjust if you want to add your sample size. Okay, you can do that as well here. And then the minimum test duration is 1 hour. So you're essentially giving the campaign 1 hour to quickly do an assessment to say, from the people that you send the email to, what is the behavior like? All right. And then you can either do it by hours or by days, and you can use that. Okay. All right. So you also have an option to say if you have inconclusive results, you're not quite happy with the results, or the system just takes a look at it and decides, okay, fine, they've gotten everyone in terms of the results is equally the same, then you can now have an option to just say by default, I want version A, version B, or I'll decide later after the results have come in. All right. So I'm just gonna click main launch demo right here. And we've got 3 different types of test parameters. Sorry, I jumped that part. So here we're looking at the subject. So essentially, if I say subject and I go next, it will allow me to put 2 different versions of the subject line for one email. Okay, let me go back to the previous page, step 1. Okay, if you're going to use sender details, you're using email addresses. Let's say, for example, you want to test. So if we use a group email account, let's say, for example, support at or a specific individual email account, which one are people responding positively to? Then email content then allows you to send 2 different versions of your email content. So if we decide to use email content right here, if I click next, then I can add my subject here, select a topic, and send a name for your brand, your business, essentially going through the entire process that we've done. Then if you click next, you can pick pre-designed templates. So it tells you content for version A. Let's say I want to use this one. I'm going to click proceed, and then you select content for version B. It could either be a variation of this one, or it could be a completely different email. It really just depends in terms of what your goals are, but ideally a variation usually works. So for example, you've got same look and feel, but essentially one email has more content than the other one, for example. Okay, and then if you click next, you click your list. Essentially, we're going through the process that we did with the regular or targeted email campaign. Then you can either send now or send later, or just save and then resume when you're done. So let's take a look at an A/B campaign that we've already done before and just see what the results sort of look like. Okay, so I'm going back into this one. This is an A/B test. If I click on it, it'll tell me that your A/B test was inconclusive. Based on your preference, we've sent version A to the remaining recipients. Okay, so 5 individuals were sent this email, 5 contacts. 1 bounced, 5 unopened. So there was no one opened the emails, it was inconclusive, right? And we used 2.5% of the recipients and another 2.5. So 5% of people as a sample, and then the 95% rest. Okay. And then it tells you in terms of what the winner type was based on, open rate, and no one opened the emails. That's why it was inconclusive. Okay. And you can essentially just get more information around that. Okay. And if you click view report here, you can also then see more information, again, high level in terms of your deliverability. And then in terms of opens, there's nothing right now that has happened. Okay. And performance by region, all of that as well, you get to see for that specific campaign. All right. And then for your automations, we're just going to take a quick look at it because we've run out of time. Creating workflows has got to be one of the most, I don't want to say the easiest, but once you create your workflow and you have it going, it makes your life much, much easier because essentially you become more productive. You're creating an automation that does a lot of the work for you. So you've got different workflow templates that you can use and customize. I always recommend our clients to start off with a template, particularly if you're not familiar with designing workflows. So start off with the template. It's already done 90% of the work for you. All you essentially have to do is build your workflow. So for your workflow, we've got welcoming and onboarding workflows. Let's say, for example, someone has just recently joined your mailing list. Then you want to send them a series of emails to engage with them. Let's say, for example, the next email could be, hi, thank you so much for subscribing to our content. Would you like a demo, for example, or would you like to set up a session with us? Or you can just start sending them product information. It just really depends on what your goal is. With every email campaign strategy has a goal. What are you trying to achieve as a business? Okay, what is your engagement strategy? All right, or the outcome of your engagement strategy. You've got your nurture series. These help you to nurture people. Someone is signed up for a trial, and now you want to make sure that they become a paying client. If you preview the template, you get to see how it flows and all comes together. Right, yeah. One thing that is also important to note is that once your contact enters a workflow that you have created, even if you freeze the campaign, that is pausing the campaign, you cannot stop that contact from going through the rest of your workflow. The same applies for A/B testing. Once an A/B test goes live, you cannot pause it to say, I don't want specific contacts to receive the A/B test anymore. So once someone has received something that's automated, they will see it through. Okay. And you also have an option to re-enroll people for the same workflow. Let's say, for example, they have subscribed to receive specific content, and based off their behavior and how they're engaging with your email contact, you've sent them a series of emails. However, you've realized that this person and the way that they're responding, they'll probably be better engaged if we send them a specific type of content. So you can move them to another workflow. And then if that workflow changes, you can then move them back. Another simple strategy would be, for example, if you're moving your contacts from one workflow to another based on, let's say, for example, their lead status. You're saying that lead is currently warm, so they go through workflow 1, they progress, and then now they become a much more engaged lead. Maybe they've requested for a quote. Okay. And then from thereafter, they move on to a different workflow that is specific for people that have received quotes, that have requested for quotes. And then you've engaged with them, and then you realize, okay, fine, this is not working. They don't want a quote. Then they go back to becoming a warm contact. You can also then re-enroll them on that other specific workflow. And you can do that using the different features in there. So you've got workflows for re-engagement. If you've gone a long time without engaging with your clients, or you lost a client and you want to win them back, you can send them a series of emails to do that. Emails to rebuild customer retention. For e-commerce, abandoned carts, purchase follow-ups, conditional workflows based on any instant triggers, such as if someone has reached lead status, this move them or change them in, just move them across the specific workflow. Time-based, you can say that if an activity is done at 3 p.m., then it triggers. Or you can also have an activity-based, to say, for example, based on how contacts are engaging with the activity that you've specified, then make sure that they receive a specific set of emails. Okay, so we're just going to go and create, not necessarily create, but just take a look at what these type of templates look like. So if I click use template, once again, easy template that you can use. You've got 3 important things that you need to know when it comes to your workflows. You've got a trigger. The trigger is what initiates a contact to go through your workflow. So either they've submitted a form that's on your website, a lead generation form, they signed up for a newsletter, they've entered the lists that you've customized, a segment that you've created, email action, maybe they've clicked, forwarded, replied, for example, a field update. They were once a warm contact, now they're a qualified contact. We've assigned a tag. So these are just different options that you have here. And this one is based on form submission. You just select any specific sign-up form from the forms that you've already created. You can do that as well. Okay, then here is for the specific email, right? This becomes, let me just select any specific sign-up form here, since I can't progress without doing that. Okay, you create your email content. You can either import, same process, from your saved templates, your library here, or you can create your email straight from scratch. Okay. And then you've got an option in terms of having a wait period. If someone has received this email, you'd want to wait 2 days, 2 hours, 3 weeks or so before the next action occurs. That either you push the data to CRM, or you send them another email, or you move them to a different workflow. So this is just the easiest 3-step or 3-series workflow that you can take a look at. You've got your trigger. Someone has completed a form, you sent them an email, you waited 2 hours, and then you've got your last action that occurred. So what happens when it's a process? So process here, you can either have email activities as a process. You've got your actions right here, sending an email, putting them through an A/B test, sending an SMS, sending an email survey. All this then applies and comes here. Okay. And really, there's so much to cover when it comes to Zoho Campaigns and the different amazing things it can do to help you to build your customer engagement. We do not necessarily have a lot of time to go through everything, but we're happy to answer any questions that you might have. If you have any questions, please send us an email to support@infolytics.coza, and we'll be definitely more than ready to help you with all your inquiries that you might have. Or send your request to consultants@infolytics.coza, and we'll definitely be happy to respond to all the questions that you have. Okay, and that's it. We're out of time, but I really hope that you found the session to be helpful in terms of what you can do in Zoho Campaigns. And I'm sure, I don't want to say I'm sure, because that really just depends on you, but I'd like to believe that you found how you've managed to assess how effective it is in terms of being able to help you to build the right email campaigns. All right, so thank you so much and have a good one. Thank you. Bye. We hope that you enjoyed the webinar.